Ja, ebenfalls einen schönen guten Morgen. Ich freue mich natürlich auch sehr, Percy Schmeiser heute hier persönlich begrüßen zu dürfen. Gelesen habe ich über ihn ja schon sehr viel und gehört auch in den letzten 10 Jahren. Er ist ja einer, der eigentlich eine Symbolfigur für die Freiheit und die Selbstbestimmung der Bauern geworden ist im Kampf gegen viele Gentechnik-Multis. Sein Feld wurde ja, aber er wird die Geschichte, glaube ich, selbst dann noch besser erzählen, ja durch Wind- und Pollenflug mit gentechnisch verändertem Saatgut kontaminiert. Und daraufhin hat für ihn dann ein Albtraum, glaube ich, begonnen, wo er selber gar nicht wusste, wie er in diese Situation kommen konnte. Aber ich glaube, er soll seine Geschichte selbst erzählen und ich möchte dann ein bisschen darüber erzählen, was die Stadt Wien macht im Kampf gegen die Gentechnik. Bitte, you have the floor.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here with you this morning in Vienna. Oh, I forgot. Now, I used to translate.
Ein bisschen zu eingespielt, dass wir konsekutiv übersetzen.
Anyway, it's, as I said, a pleasure for my wife and myself. Now, my wife and I come from Western Canada in the heart of the grain growing area and one of the first areas that GMOs were introduced. And I think briefly this trip to Europe today is more or less to bring awareness not only to farmers but also to the whole general population, all of our society, what happens when you put patents on genes. And it's no longer an issue now for farmers. It's an issue when you patent genes on all of our society in regards to health and especially to the environment. So it used to be that people in society would look at the patents of genes that it was a farm issue. But it's no longer that issue. The issue now, as I said, is for all of us. And I would say that with the 4 crops that were introduced in 1996 in Canada and the United States at the same time, we've had 14 full crop years, and now it's no longer what can happen, but what does happen with the introduction of GMOs, especially in seeds and plants. And briefly, as you probably all know, there is no such thing as coexistence, and you cannot contain it. And so that has become a major problem because you no longer can have an organic farmer if you ever introduce GMOs. On the health issue, where we are very concerned about now in Canada with the patents on genes, various healthcare treatments now have patents on them that control the use of those healthcare treatments, especially in breast cancer treatment. So that has become a major issue, and the other major issue is the environment, because with GMOs we've had a massive increased use of chemicals because it's not an exact science, and we now have new mutants and plants that were never in our seed supply before. So now we have a massive increased use of chemicals. We have a health issue, we have a major environmental issue because of the increased use of chemicals, both on the environment and on human health. So everything that Canadian farmers were told back in 1996 about this new technology, we'd be able to feed a hungry world, hungry and starving world, sustainable agriculture. That was not the reason at all. It was to get control of the seed supply, where farmers have to buy the seed each year. They have to buy the chemicals each year. They must pay a license fee. It was never ever meant. It was not. Maybe it was a leading technology in transferring a gene from one life form to another. But outside of that, it was meant to get control of the seed supply. So in the last 12, 14 years, 2 other major food crops wanted to be introduced, especially by Monsanto, and that was Weizen or wheat, and the other one was rice. And they were not allowed because we had seen the damage the first 4 had done, and the Canadian people said no more new GMOs. And the other issue, the other reason that we were very concerned about the introduction of any more new GMOs was that with the Terminator gene in, it would control the future of life and the future of or determination in regards to fertility, and that was also a major reason. So again, I think that's just a few brief comments to start with. As you'll probably all know, my wife and I had major battle with Monsanto going all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada, and at the Supreme Court we could bring other items in than just patent infringement, but the whole issue, how far can you go in the patents on the future of life and that no corporation should ever control that, and that also farmers should always maintain their right to use their seeds and plants. So with that, I'll stop, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. But again, to us, GMOs have been a major, major disaster.
Herzlichen Dank. Seit 15 Jahren kämpft Global 2000 gegen die Gentechnik, ziemlich zeitgleich mit Percy Schmeiser. 1997 war das Gentechnik-Volksbegehren mit 21% der österreichischen Stimmberechtigten das zweiterfolgreichste Volksbegehren. Die Forderung, kein Essen aus dem Genlabor, wurde weitgehend erfüllt. Es gibt im Handel keine kennzeichnungspflichtigen Gentech-Produkte und auch keine Freisetzungen in Österreich hat es seitdessen gegeben. Und es hat sich herausgestellt, dass die Forderungen von Global hier sehr berechtigt und richtig waren. Percy Schmeiser ist ein leuchtendes Beispiel, was sein kann, wenn man so quasi in die Gentech-Falle so quasi hineintappt. 300 Chemikalien findet man im Nabelschnurblut von Neugeborenen. Das ist so dramatisch, dass sogar konservative Organisationen aus den USA nun Alarm schreien und sagen, wir müssen die Umweltbelastung mit Chemikalien reduzieren. Aber die genetische Verschmutzung, die wird wahrscheinlich die chemische Verschmutzung noch deutlich in den Schatten stellen. Bei chemischen Verschmutzungen können wir sagen, halt, stopp, und wir müssen warten, bis die Chemikalien wieder aus der Umwelt verschwinden. Genetische Konstrukte, die verschwinden nicht mehr aus der Umwelt. Sie können sich vermehren und sie werden wahrscheinlich in evolutionären Zeiträumen erst wieder aus der Umwelt verschwinden. Es gibt die genetische Verschmutzung von Kulturpflanzen, wie sie Percy Schmeiser aufzeigt. Es gibt diese von Wildpflanzen und wie wir von Global 2000 vor kurzem aufgezeigt haben, finden sich auch genetische Konstrukte im Blut von Ziegenkids, die nur von Muttermilch sich ernährt haben. Das heißt, die sind nicht direkt mit Gentechnik in Kontakt gekommen. Das heißt, das Pendant zur chemischen Verschmutzung findet auch nach und nach in der Gentechnik statt, und das ist enorm wichtig, weil die Wissenschaft nicht weiß, wie man synthetische Gene wieder hinausbekommt. Sie weiß nur, wie man synthetische Gene in eine Pflanze bekommt, aber sie weiß nicht, wie man synthetische Gene wieder aus einer Pflanze bekommt. Deswegen ist es enorm wichtig, gar nicht mit der Gentechnik zu beginnen.
I should maybe make another comment in regards to GMOs and contamination. We have found it does not only affect the plant that you put the GMOs in, and I'll refer to rapeseed or canola as we call it, which comes from the brassica family. And in that family you have many close cousins as well as distant cousins, broccoli, radishes, turnips, cauliflower, wild mustard. And through cross-pollination now from the rapeseed into those market garden crops, we have more crops organic farmers no longer can raise in Canada of the contamination. So always remember, it does not only affect the plant you put it into, but affects that whole family of plants. And again, as was mentioned, we don't know if it ever can be recalled back. Chemical spills, oil spills can be all cleaned up, but we cannot clean up, as we know it today, a genetic release. When you look at GMOs, the herbicide-resistant ones, it was only meant for a plant not to die, in this case for Monsanto's herbicide Roundup. It was never meant for increased yields. And when they said, it was a nice thing to say back in '96, we'll now feed a hungry world, that was never their intentions. As I said before, it was the intentions to control of the seed supply. I would say if anything leads to more starvation and hunger in the world, it's GMOs. And I'll give you another reason. We're sitting on a mountain pile of rapeseed, which we cannot sell because it's all contaminated. What are we doing now? Land that should be used for the production of food is now being used to make biodiesel because we cannot sell it, so it's biodiesel. How does that feed a hungry world? And that is what has happened. That's one of the results of it. I don't know how they ever got away with it to feed a hungry world.
They didn't.
And then you have the Bt toxin GMOs. You have the herbicide resistance. So how does increased toxins feed a hungry world? But these are the things we're looking at, but they got away with it. Nobody challenged them.